fun of my... Well, after Lonnie's report, I figured I would go home last night. I got home at 8 o'clock, and I scrapped my report, and instead I stayed up all night delivering you a report on the eschatological implications of Pauline theology. Sorry, Lonnie. But I can tell you that I did go home and make what I thought were some significant changes, and they're not showing up here on my... There are limits to the technology. So you're getting the address, but I'm going to turn into Terry in the journal, the real one. Well, friends, I have been a preacher for way too long. I cannot deliver a report to you without using a metaphor. So I'd like for us to think for a few moments of our annual conference as a watercraft. What kind of a boat or a ship do you think best describes who we are? A slow-moving tanker? An ocean liner loaded with entertainment options? How about a fishing trawler in the Bering Sea that in rough waters would make most people seasick? I get seasick just watching Deadliest Catch. Maybe we're in a large sailboat harnessing the power of Pentecost wind. Or perhaps we're more like a flat-bottom boat able to ply the shallow water of an Alaskan river. Or we could be a dinghy with nothing but human muscle power to make us move. Regardless of the size and the type of craft, I have to say that we have experienced some turbulent waters this past year. And let us not think that rough water is a bad thing. The water is what it is, and we do our best as the church to alter our course to meet the challenges that lie ahead and hopefully avoid some of the rocks. The first bit of rough water is what all Alaska United Methodist churches face. In fact, I have said it to you, I'll say it again and again, that the number one issue facing our churches is transiency. People moving in and out of our communities at a rapid rate. It has financial and leadership implications for each of our churches. We just cannot count on a stable membership and financial base. In my opinion, all of our churches need to create a leadership development plan so that we can be proactive instead of reactive. The restructure we implemented last year created a few waves. Our leadership team of 15 elected leaders continue to live into this new way of being more nimble to respond to our mission. We wear many hats and need to find ways to bring the right expertise to the right table. We experienced our first full year without a director of connectional ministries, and while I have enjoyed some of the increased program responsibilities, it has been the busiest and most challenging year of my superintendency. It would be a good thing if we evaluated that decision as we move forward. Some of our churches have been tossed about in the storms of conflict, and I doubt that many of us enjoy dealing with conflict, but there is such a thing as necessary conflict. And I've tried my best to walk alongside with churches in conflict and to bring resources to help us learn how to move forward. I want to thank former Superintendent Reverend Bob Smith for being a listening ear and a big help to our conference. Alaska is a wild land where isolation and darkness and cold can enhance our anxieties and lead us to conflict. We all need to take measures to improve the health and well-being of our congregations. And when conflict strikes, we need to see it as an opportunity to learn about ourselves and grow as disciples of Jesus. Beyond the rough waters are new horizons. It is exciting to tell you about some of the new waters that we are sailing into. Under the leadership of Pastor Janice Carlton, our Kenai and North Star churches will unite as a 2-point charge beginning this summer. First Samoan United Methodist Church moved out of its building, which was hampering their ministry. And thanks to the hospitality of First UMC, they have a new home. We recently sold the building with the money to return to the Legacy Fund to continue to fund the work of our conference vision. Girdwood Chapel has the highest per-member debt of the conference. Mona Blackburn, widow of founding pastor of Anchor Park in Chugiak, David Blackburn, donated land to Girdwood Chapel, which was sold and significantly reduced their debt. Last year, our bishop encouraged us to throw out the rule book and experiment. I took him at his word, and one result of that is that the bishop will tonight appoint a native Alaskan lay person to serve our Nome Church as a new local pastor. We sailed into the new waters of a new area. We are now part of the Greater Northwest Episcopal Area, which adds Oregon-Idaho Conference to our family. We will benefit as we now have two big sister conferences. And some of the resources available to us include the Foundation, the Media Library, our Treasurer's Office, the Benefits Officer, Disaster Response, Camps and Retreat, Candidacy Process, the Tools Center, Certified Lay Minister Training, Clergy Transition Training, and the Leadership Development Initiative. The leadership team has approved up to $50,000 a year from earnings from our Legacy Fund for the next 4 years, investing in our lay and clergy leaders' education and retooling for leading our churches into the next era of vitality and growth. We are putting resources in as a conference to help us disciple others in the name of Christ. We changed our new ministries committee to a board of congregational development. And just this past week, Curtis Brown, the PNW Director of Congregational Development, who is leading them in new and revitalized congregation, came to Alaska to train our new board. And we are excited about the direction. It appears that we have worked out the bugs in our new property insurance group program. Coverage standards have been raised, and our churches in conference are better protected. Thanks to Van Vong and Craig Parrish for steering us through this process. New missional communities will be happening as lay and clergy are trained through the Academy for Missional Wisdom. As Plume Director, Robert Hicks is on the front lines of starting new faith communities in the Mat-Su Valley. In Anchorage, layperson Nora Ortiz Frederick is starting a new faith community called Ascent Alaska to reach out to people who experience God in the outdoors more than in a church building. And I am involved with the lead team discerning where God would want us to begin a new community of faith. Last year we saw a few Creative Charge conferences, mostly in the Southeast, but also on the Central Kenai Peninsula. I conducted church conferences for Sitka and Ketchikan by Skype so I could visit their churches at a later date. Pastor Ferdy Linato put me to work for a weekend of teaching and preaching on a sunny Sitka weekend. This August I will go to Ketchikan for their community Blueberry Festival and have the rare experience of my wife Kim joining me. With Bishop Grant's leadership, we are using a coaching model to help lay and clergy leaders feel less isolated and more equipped to lead. Sometimes the best resource is not found in a book or a website, but in a helpful relationship with someone who knows how to bring out the best in us. Improvements to our camp and retreat settings continue to happen as children, youth, and adults experience a renewal of faith in Christ. Birchwood Camp has a waiting list now for some of their summer camps. UMW, UMM, Walk to Emmaus, prison ministries are not new ministries, but they continue to thrive, extending God's love to all. And I continue to value my ecumenical colleagues in Alaska, Bishop Shelley Wickstrom of the ELCA, Dr. Kurt Carnes of the Yukon Presbytery, Reverend Michael Burke, and Bishop Mark Latine of the Episcopal Church, our trusted friends who continue to strengthen our desire to do significant ministry together in Alaska for the sake of the gospel. Our churches are sailing through new waters with mission trips to Africa and Guatemala. Expanded food ministries are feeding the hungry. There are prophets among us speaking God's truth as they see it. Church doors are being opened for children and youth. Elders are being loved by faithful pastors. Boards and agencies are being served by our lay and clergy all across Alaska. So maybe our boat is a large rowboat. where lots of people work together to coordinate our strokes in and out of the water. If you currently serve or have served on a conference committee, leadership team, or group, would you please stand right now? Thank you. Thank you for your efforts to take your seat with the oars in your hands and get maybe some blisters. Thanks to Fran Lynch for chairing the leadership team. Where are you, Fran? Thank you, Fran. Thanks to Crystal Feaster, my valued, faithful partner in this ministry. Crystal. Thank you, Lonnie Brooks, for your spirit and willingness to do whatever is asked of you. Mostly it's helped me interpret the Book of Discipline. Thanks to Bruce Galvin. Where are you, Bruce?
He's back there drawing blood.
Oh, yeah, he's back there drawing. Thanks to Bruce, our most excellent benefits officer, who answers his email faster than I do. Thank you, Craig Parrish. Craig's over here. Our treasurer, who will retire from P&W on December 31st of this year. The good news is that he will continue to serve Alaska for another 6 months, and I'm trying to see if he'll stay on past that. Would that be all right, Bishop? And finally, we give thanks to Bishop Grant for his faithful leadership. Adding an entire annual conference to his area has been challenging for him. In light of this, he has not diminished his travels to Alaska, but in fact increased his visits this past year. Our prayers are with you, Bishop, for health, energy, and wisdom as you lead us forward. As I've traveled across the conference, I brought a message I heard in a P&W cabinet meeting about purpose and preference. Growing churches focus on purpose. Churches that don't get it allow the preferences of their members to rule the day because they see their mission taking a back seat to making people happy. Bishop, I think our people are getting it. The leaders here know that it's about purpose. But sometimes it's just hard to get the energy to retool a church machine when what we've used for so many years has worked, at least up to now. And it can be difficult to persuade others in our congregations to give up their preferences for the sake of the gospel. But we must face our reality. Because this is not about our preferences and our comfort. It's about God's purpose and what God is doing in this world. We need to reclaim a sense of urgency, almost as if the boat we are riding is a chunk of ice that will eventually melt. This is the time for those of us in this room to lead. Years ago when we were young, whatever time that was, there were leaders in our churches who worked for change for our generation. And to reshape the gospel message so we could hear and respond. Now is the time for us to rise to this occasion. New energy for new places, for new people. Well, did you notice something as I did after describing this list of new things that God is doing in our midst? Did you feel a sense of wonder and excitement? Sailing into new waters with the wind of God's Spirit guiding us forward continues to be an amazing adventure. Alaska is our physical and our spiritual home. The land, the people, the rhythm of life, the Spirit of God. Thank you for the opportunity to serve as your superintendent. Let us prepare our boat for the next amazing part of our God journey. Thank you.